A wild fight clip just hit the internet and fans swear it shows Drake's people clashing with Kendrick Lamar's crew. The timing couldn't be crazier. This went down right after Kendrick rolled into Drake City and lit up the stage with Not Like Us, right in Toronto, right in Drake's own backyard. The streets are buzzing, the city's divided, and this feud just got real messy. Toronto's turned into a battleground overnight with fans already picking sides like it's war. But to really get what just went down, let's paint the picture. Imagine you're the king of your block. Everybody knows your name. Every corner store is blasting your tracks and your people ride for you no matter what. Now, out of nowhere, your biggest rival, the one who's been calling you out, rolls straight into your hood and clowns you in front of your entire city. That's not just disrespect. That's a direct hit to your pride. And that's exactly what Kendrick Lamar pulled off in Toronto. He didn't just perform, he humiliated Drake on his own turf, making it one of the coldest, most crushing moments in rap beef history. Here's the kicker. On June 12, 2025, Kendrick took over the Rogers Center, the biggest stage in the city. But here's the twist. Drake himself has never done a full stadium tour show at that very spot. Let that sink in for a second. Kendrick didn't just show up. He planted his flag where Drake never dared to go. And that's the kind of move that cuts deep both to the ego and the crown. This wasn't just a performance on enemy turf. This was Kendrick straight up snatching land that the so-called landlord never even touched. That's not rap beef. That's battlefield strategy. Next level chess. And Kendrick made the boldest move possible. But here's where things turned downright insane. The crowd reaction. The Rogers Center exploded, giving Kendrick a wild 2-minute standing ovation after he dropped Not Like Us, the same track that wrecked Drake's image worldwide. And don't get it twisted, this wasn't some weak applause or fake respect.
Hey man, I'm thinking about the event that happened over there. Let me tell you something. When the first dude stepped up to Rose, the little short fat one that looked like Bam Bam Bigelow from wrestling, when he stepped up and then I squat down in his eyes and told him what I said. Basically, boy, if I hit you, I'm going to see everything you ate for the last 2 days. His balls dropped out of his... He never said another word.
Now, Toronto fans, Drake's supposed day one supporters, his loyal to the soil crew were screaming the lyrics, losing their minds, and going word for word with Kendrick as he shredded their hometown king. Imagine that. Drake's city. Drake's people singing a disc that paints him like the biggest fraud in the game. That's not just disrespect. That's humiliation on a grand stage. Social media lit up instantly. Timelines drowning in clips of fans begging for an encore of the very song that dragged Drake's name through the mud. Posts were filled with shock, betrayal, and disbelief. Like the city had just witnessed history being rewritten in real time. This wasn't a concert anymore. This felt like a public execution with Drake's own fan base cheering on the executioner. And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, bam, footage started dropping online showing a small squabble erupting into a straight-up brawl. Fans claimed the video shows Drake's affiliates throwing down with Kendrick's crew, turning the beef from lyrical shots to real-life chaos. But before we dive into that fight footage, we got to rewind because this war has roots. It didn't start last night. It goes all the way back to 2013 when Kendrick dropped his infamous verse on Big Sean's Control, calling out Drake and nearly every heavyweight in the game. When Kendrick first called it friendly competition, what he really meant was war. He wasn't just nudging rappers to sharpen up. He was daring them to survive or get swept out the game. This wasn't some light-hearted sparring match. This was a generational clash brewing like a storm for over 10 years. The real eruption hit in 2024 when Kendrick jumped on Future and Metro Boomings like that and declared there was no big three in hip-hop. It was just Big Him. That line didn't just land, it detonated, shaking the entire industry. And let's be clear, Kendrick wasn't playing nice anymore. He flat out told Drake and J. Cole to keep their little friendship bracelet while he went for the throne all by himself. No team, no alliance, just him against everybody. What followed was an all-out war of diss tracks throughout 2024. And at the center of it all sat Kendrick's Not Like Us. The track that didn't just diss Drake. It ripped his whole reputation apart with cold, calculated precision. This wasn't about clever punchlines or playful bars. This was surgical character assassination. And by the time Kendrick dropped that bomb live in Toronto, the damage was irreversible. Picture it. Thousands of fans, many draped in OVO gear. Some even inked permanently with Drake's name or owl logo, chanting "Not Like Us" like it was a holy anthem. The level of irony was suffocating. Drake's own loyal soldiers singing every single lyric that buried their hometown king, turning the arena into a choir of betrayal. Man, picture this. You had die-hard Drake fans walking into a Kendrick Lamar concert expecting maybe a surprise track only to watch their hero's name get torn apart on the mic. The wildest part, some of these folks were draped head to toe in Drake merch, repping the owl heavy, but still choosing to stand and cheer while Kendrick shredded Drake's reputation in front of the whole world.
And then I got hit with a drink. I'm still convinced ain't no punch me. Somebody said, Rose tried to punch you. He hit you. I say, nah. He had to throw a drink, because throwing a drink would have been way more disrespectful than screaming, "Hello, MMA!"
That's betrayal mixed with celebration, all rolled into one chaotic scene. One fan on social media said it best. They pointed out the crowd wasn't just avoiding boos, they were begging for more, singing along word for word and demanding encores in a stadium Drake himself never set foot in. Another person described it as a sea of Torononians chanting a diss track at the top of their lungs, calling it crazy with extra emphasis. And they weren't exaggerating. This didn't feel like a concert. It felt like history bending right in front of our eyes. A cultural power shift unfolding live with every verse Kendrick spit. But here's the part that makes it all even more savage. This wasn't some random fluke. This was master-level strategy. Kendrick had been planting the seeds for months, playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. Remember Super Bowl 59 on February 9, 2025? Kendrick performed "Not Like Us" at halftime, instantly flipping it from a rap beef anthem into a worldwide movement. That track became bigger than hip-hop. It was a rally cry, an anthem, a straight-up declaration of dominance. So by the time he hit Toronto, Kendrick wasn't just performing in enemy territory. He was staging the perfect takeover. The timing, the venue, the psychological warfare. It was all calculated to strike at Drake's crown when it would hurt the most. Kendrick didn't just pick any stage. He chose the one that symbolized Drake's biggest missed shot. Performing "Not Like Us" at the Rogers Center was bad enough, but having thousands of Drake's own fans chanting it back like a Sunday church choir, that was humiliation wrapped in history. Security was stacked deep, too. Extra cops stationed outside, the whole arena locked down tight. But surprisingly, the show itself stayed cool. No chaos, no violence, just Kendrick running Toronto with surgical precision. So, where did that viral fight footage come from if the night was calm? Well, fans guessed one part right. The dudes in the clip were definitely Drake's affiliates, but here's the curveball. They weren't scrapping with Kendrick's crew at all. Nope. The smoke came from somewhere nobody expected. Flashback to June 30, 2024 at the Ignite Music Festival in Vancouver, Canada, when the unthinkable happened. Rick Ross got jumped by Drake supporters after daring to play "Not Like Us." This wasn't some sloppy bar fight or a few drunk fans acting reckless. This was organized payback, a street-level statement of loyalty that showed just how far Drake's soldiers were willing to ride for their king. Canada was making it clear. Disrespect Drake on their soil and there would be consequences. And here's the twist of fate. Rick Ross isn't just some random rapper caught in the crossfire. This is Roz, a certified heavyweight, a veteran who's lived through every kind of rap feud and street beef imaginable. Yet even he got touched. All because he made one bold choice. He decided to side with Kendrick Lamar in this war. That decision lit a fuse nobody saw coming. Back on April 13, 2024, Rick Ross dropped Champagne Moments, a diss track where he went straight at Drake, accusing him of plastic surgery and questioning if he really had weight in the culture. That was Ross firing back after Drake had already taken shots at him on push-ups. But Ross didn't just clap back with words. He pulled one of the boldest moves hip-hop has seen in years. At his Vancouver show in the middle of Drake's home country, Ross decided to end his entire set with Kendrick's "Not Like Us."
Have the most Grammys of any rapper. I think like Jay-Z and Kanye still has more Grammys than him, but He sweeped.
And I'm going to be real, not to say Kendrick didn't earn every last one of those. But I really believe, and walk with me, Vlad, I really believe that the Drake factor and the things he's doing is not hurting Kendrick, it's hurting itself, it's elevating Kendrick.
Just picture that. Canada, the land that rides hardest for Drake, filled with fans wearing OVO gear, and Ross turns the whole arena into a Kendrick anthem sing-along. That's not just disrespect. That's like grabbing a megaphone in somebody's neighborhood and roasting their mama in front of the whole block. And the crowd did not let it slide. Footage shows a man rushing in and socking Ross in the face, sparking an all-out brawl between his crew and the audience. But let's be real, this wasn't some random dust-up. Social media caught everything, and one user broke it down perfectly, saying the fight erupted right when somebody screamed, "Turn that off. Want to bang out?" while the diss track blasted through the speakers. This wasn't drunken chaos. This was premeditated payback. Loyalty to Drake turned into street politics right before everyone's eyes. And here's where Ross proved why he's still respected after decades in the game. He didn't cry foul. He didn't try to escalate. He brushed it off smooth. Talking to TMZ, he said nobody in his crew was seriously hurt and even called Vancouver a beautiful city. That's veteran strategy right there. Flipping a near riot into good PR, Ross wasn't just brushing off the Vancouver chaos. He doubled down with psychological warfare by calling the city beautiful and saying he looked forward to coming back. He basically told Drake supporters they weren't even worth his energy. That's not fear. That's mind games at the highest level. And then Ross pushed it further. In a later interview, he broke down the whole incident in detail, calmly explaining what went down like a man who never lost his cool for a second. The way Ross spoke about it dripped with disrespect. He painted the attackers as clowns, never once giving them credit as a real threat. Instead of sounding shaken, he sounded entertained, like the whole thing was comedy to him. And that's where the genius came in. This wasn't about fist flying. It was about proving mental dominance. Even outnumbered, even jumped. Ross held on to his composure and showed his boss mentality never cracks. And here's the twist. Ross didn't just defend himself. He flipped the script. He mocked the whole ambush, saying he didn't even catch a punch, just a drink splashing on him. That turned his attackers into amateurs and made himself look untouchable. He wasn't scrambling to do damage control. He was spinning an L into a straight-up victory lap. That's veteran trolling at its finest. But the wild part, the story didn't end in Vancouver. Drake himself seemed to co-sign the attack by liking an Instagram post about it. One that included a warning saying, "Don't come to Canada if you got problems with Drake."
Walk with me. When he dropped his album back in November, he was slated on pace to do 220.
That move didn't just fuel the beef. It poured gasoline on it and dared Ross to clap back even harder. This wasn't Drake just sitting back with popcorn watching drama unfold. This was him practically green-lighting violence against his rivals. The implications of his social media moves were wild. One of the biggest artists on earth was basically co-signing fans who physically attacked another rapper just for blasting a song. That's not passive. That's participation. And Drake didn't stop there. He went on Instagram cracking jokes and posting Happy Canada Day, which everybody took as a slick celebration of Ross getting jumped. The timing said it all. It wasn't random. It was Drake flexing, showing the world he appreciated his fans defending his honor with fists and chaos. That's how you turn a holiday into a warning shot. The internet exploded with clips and hot takes. Some fans praised the loyalty. Others dragged the irony. Ross, a global rap giant, getting stomped in Canada, Drake's fortress. This wasn't just about a fight anymore. It became about territory, about who truly owned the ground, about how far die-hard supporters were willing to ride for their musical king. Then came the piling on. 50 Cent slid into the mix, clowning Ross' safety and cracking jokes that turned humiliation into comedy for the whole hip-hop world. That extra layer of disrespect only made Ross' sting even harder. But here's the bigger picture. This Vancouver madness revealed just how divided the hip-hop landscape had become. Rappers were picking sides like it was a championship final, taking every chance to jab at their enemies. And maybe the most chilling part, it showed the raw, real-world power of music. Not just to inspire, but to incite. One track, one performance, one post, and suddenly fists were flying and reputations were on the line. The attack on Rick Ross by Drake's own fans wasn't random. It was a direct reaction to him siding with Kendrick and blasting "Not Like Us" in the middle of Canada. That single choice turned entertainment into something way deeper. This wasn't about a concert anymore. This was about identity, loyalty, and defending a symbol people saw as sacred. For Drake's day ones, it felt like Ross had crossed a line that couldn't be ignored, and they made sure he paid for it. The Vancouver incident put the spotlight on just how intense hip-hop loyalty really runs. These aren't just casual listeners. These are fans who treat their favorite artists like blood family, who take every disc, every lyric, every move personally. When the music goes beyond entertainment, when it represents pride, belonging, and the streets themselves, the stakes shoot past awards or chart positions. It's survival of legacy, and it's deadly serious. And what happened wasn't just about fist flying. The violence in Vancouver, combined with Kendrick's ruthless takeover of Toronto, exposed a bigger truth. Hip-hop itself was shifting. This wasn't two rappers throwing shots anymore. This was a transformation in the culture, a clash between what's authentic and what's fabricated, between raw street politics and polished industry games. And fueling it all, social media and streaming platforms, turning every disc and every scuffle into a global headline within seconds. The aftermath didn't just shake Canada, it sent shock waves through the entire rap world. Ripples that are still rocking the culture today. This whole saga forced artists, executives, fans, and even critics to face some ugly truths about loyalty, violence, artistry, and the heavy responsibility that comes with holding influence in both the streets and the culture. And one of the sharpest takes on the entire mess came from Wack 100, who broke down Kendrick's Grammy domination in a way that exposed the hidden politics running behind the curtains. Wack pointed out what most people missed. Kendrick's Grammy sweep wasn't just about the music itself, with Not Like Us snatching Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and 3 more trophies. The industry wasn't just celebrating art. They were sending a signal. This was the machine picking sides, and they made it clear they were rocking with Kendrick in this war. That Grammy stage turned into a battlefield where the industry crowned its champion right in front of everyone's eyes. And then came the twist. Drake tried to fight back the corporate way. He launched multiple lawsuits against Universal Music Group, accusing them of pumping Kendrick streams and defaming his name. But instead of saving face, those moves blew up in his lap. Wack called it perfectly. Drake looked like a desperate man scrambling. And in the streets, desperation is blood in the water. Every headline about those lawsuits just gave Kendrick more shine and made Drake look weaker. The politics became impossible to ignore. Universal Music Group, home to both Drake and Kendrick, was showing its hand. They weren't even pretending to stay neutral anymore. Drake's releases started getting delayed while Kendrick's success was pushed front and center like he was the golden child. That's not coincidence. That's chess. And the industry was quietly moving its pieces, leaving Drake out in the cold while Kendrick sat at the throne. That moment Wack 100 talked about the high five between Dr. Dre and a UMG exec wasn't just a casual gesture. It was symbolic, a stamp of approval from the OGs of hip-hop and the corporate gatekeepers all at once. Dre, a West Coast icon who helped build the very foundation of this culture, siding with Kendrick in full view of the industry, sent one clear message. Drake's complaints weren't battles. They were tantrums. It painted him as someone refusing to take an L like a man, while Kendrick stood tall as the chosen one. The psychological warfare here was insane. More advanced than a chess grandmaster closing out an endgame. Every single move Drake tried, whether legal threats or lyrical swings, was flipped into fuel for Kendrick's fire. It was like watching someone stuck in quicksand. The harder Drake fought, the deeper he sank, while Kendrick kept rising untouched. And the prediction proved dead-on accurate. Kendrick's momentum didn't just keep rolling. It went full freight train, gaining speed with every month that passed. Grammy wins stacked on top of his Super Bowl performance, stacked on top of his tour announcements, building a snowball of cultural dominance that looked unstoppable. Kendrick wasn't just winning battles. He was shifting the entire power balance of hip-hop in real time. But maybe the most fascinating part of this whole saga: how different artists responded to this kind of street-level adversity. DJ Academics, who had been covering the feud from day one and had plenty invested in the outcome, broke down Kendrick's strategy in a way that revealed just how calculated it really was. Kendrick's disc 616 in LA name-dropped Academics, not as a random jab, but as a precision strike. It was psychological warfare so sharp that even military strategists could learn from it. Kendrick didn't come at her head-on. Instead, he operated like a street surgeon with a rusty blade. Messy on the surface, but flawless in execution, cutting exactly where it would hurt most without wasting energy. Kendrick didn't just throw Academics' name out for fun. He used it as a weapon by pointing out that the media personality looked compromised because of his blatant bias toward Drake. Kendrick planted a seed of doubt that flipped the whole narrative. It wasn't just an offhand observation. It was a calculated strike meant to strip one of Drake's loudest defenders of his credibility right there in the streets. And it worked flawlessly. That single line was more revealing than a police interrogation. Suddenly, Academics' every word looked suspicious. Anytime he tried to defend Drake or criticize Kendrick, fans swarmed the comments, reminding him of Kendrick's compromised jab. Just like that, one of the most influential voices in hip-hop media was muted. His arguments dismissed before he could even make them. The brilliance of this move can't be overstated. Kendrick wasn't just battling Drake directly. He was dismantling the entire infrastructure around him. Piece by piece, ally by ally, Kendrick cut down the platforms and people that once boosted Drake's image. This was psychological warfare at its sharpest, isolating Drake from his support system until he stood alone. This wasn't rap beef anymore. It was a military-style campaign executed with surgical precision and street ruthlessness. Kendrick wasn't only aiming at his rival's crown. He was stripping away every soldier and shield that could protect him. Even DJ Academics, who for years doubted Kendrick's ability to match Drake's commercial dominance or his social media machine, had to bow down and admit just how lethal Kendrick's strategy was. This wasn't simply about dropping great music anymore. This was about mastering the game of influence, power dynamics, media manipulation, and psychological warfare carried out at the highest level. And the ripple effects were massive. This clash didn't just lock Drake and Kendrick into battle. It pulled the entire hip-hop community into the crossfire. Rappers, producers, and executives were forced to show their hand. And those choices exposed some ugly fractures in the culture. This wasn't just who makes better music. This was about authenticity versus hype, artistry versus charts, and cultural values versus commercial success. Suddenly, every move felt like a declaration. Birdman and 50 Cent stepped up to ride with Drake, putting their weight behind his side of the war. But on the other end, Metro Boomin, Kanye West, and Rick Ross threw their full support behind Kendrick, turning it into a heavyweight showdown where alliances mattered just as much as diss tracks. The battlefield had expanded, and the lines were drawn in blood and loyalty. Meanwhile, other names like J. Cole dipped their toes into the chaos only to backpedal later with an apology and a retreat from the battlefield. And legends like Ice Cube and even Stevie Wonder criticized the feud, either for the sheer intensity of it all or for the way it was stealing attention from bigger global issues. But let's be real, what we've witnessed over the past year isn't just a rap beef. It's been a masterclass in strategy, psychological warfare, cultural manipulation, and lyrical dominance. The kind of saga that future generations of hip-hop heads will be dissecting like textbooks. Yeah. And if WAC 100's prediction holds true, then trust this story is far from finished. The streets are watching, the industry is calculating, and every new move could flip the game upside down again. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Whose side are you riding with? Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, share this with your people, and stay locked in because this ride is only getting crazier. See you on the next.